Hello, everyone. Welcome in. This is Community Connections. I am so stoked to have my lovely co-host here, the House of Meeple, again joining me for another exciting episode. Joe and Abby, how are you both this evening?
Oh, you want to go first?
I figured we both say hi at the same time. But,
I was like,
hello,
oh
everybody.
no, do I go first? Does he go first?
Well, I mean, your name comes before mine in the alphabet, so I mean, you can have the honors. I don't care.
Oh, well, thank you. I forgot the question. I think it was, are things good? Things are good. It just kind of went in one ear and out the other because I got distracted of, oh my gosh, do I go first? Does Joe go first?
No, you can have this one. You can have it. Be my guest.
And he's good too, I guess.
Oh, now we're answering for me. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
You know what? I'm just here. I'm chilling. Abby's got this. Like, go for it. Go for it. How am I doing tonight, Abby? I'm curious.
He's good. He's doing great.
Oh, this is off to a fantastic start. The lovely Joe and Abby make up the House of Meeple friends. For those that do not know, I will pop in the chat what their handles are. You can follow them on Twitch and all of the wonderful content that they make. They are both board game streamers, and Abby does baking. Joe does occasional video games. They both live in the same house, and they have a beautiful, beautiful black cat named Boo. And I am so glad to have them be a part of the CCG crew here tonight, friends. For those that aren't familiar with Community Connections, it's our way of bridging the gap between those that work in the hobby and those that enjoy the hobby. And so last week we had the pleasure of talking with Jack Rosetree and what they do in game design and get a little insight into what they are all about. And this week I am super stoked. Thanks to the lovely Phantom for inviting this wonderful guest. I'm going to transition over here to our opening screen. And look, it's Ray! Oh my gosh! Hey!
Hi,
Welcome in, Ray. For those that might not know who you are and what you do in the board gaming space, why don't you give us a little introduction? Or would you like Abby to do it?
I can do it. I got it. I'm sure Abby would do a better job than me. But hi, everyone. My name is Ray. I work in the board game industry full time. I work for Czech Games Edition, or CGE, and I am their in-house Twitch streamer and like general community manager. That's my job. That's what I do.
Yes! Awesome. And let's say hi to everyone in the chat. I see James Raziel is here. Olympian is here. So awesome. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the emotes.
There's so many wonderful people.
So many wonderful folks. Yeah, this is going to be fantastic, friends. So tonight we're going to get cozy and comfortable with Ray. Get a little insight about who she is and what she does in gaming, and maybe just for funsies, we might throw some new questions her way. We did get to the drawing board last week, and all three of us put our brains together, and we're like, what can we ask people on stream? And so here they are. You're going to get them.
We all came up with one question.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. So you're
It better
only
be
getting
good. I
3
can't wait.
questions, Ray, for the entire 2 hours. Be ready for it.
I can ramble on about one thing for a very long time. That is my brand of streaming. If that's a challenge, I humbly accept.
Oh no, we're gonna have to choose our question carefully then.
Right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, James, I have not made you a mod, my friend. I don't know why. I thought I did, but it's about to be rectified. Here goes the mod sword. Did I not spell? Oh, I forgot your middle name. Middle letter. Mod.
I get so anxious about accidentally modding the wrong person, because I don't know, it's very scary. You have to make sure you type it perfectly.
There we go,
Yeah.
James.
Get underscores in people's names and stuff. Yeah. Scary stuff.
You probably give it to Abby too, because I can't be the only one doing mod work around here.
You can't be the only one. There we go. Last scene playing Magical Diary Wolf Hall on Ray's Retros.
Oh my god, I'm gonna ask you about that, Ray. It's gonna come up because I've watched a couple of your streams on your personal channel, and that's quite the game.
It's a time. We sure do have a time over there.
Oh man, but before we deep dive into it, Ray, please tell us your identifiers, what your job description is, what pronouns you like to use, how you would like to identify yourself here on stream tonight.
Sure. So I go by she, her. You can call me Ray. You can also call me Rachel. You can also call me Rat. Any of those three names, I respond and love to hear. What else? What were the other questions? What else did you say? My job description. So again, I'm an in-house. Whoa, Olympian! Oh my God, I got distracted.
That was Olympian.
That guy.
That guy! Thanks, Olympian. Not cozy? Gotta hype the stream that Ray is on. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Olympian, for gifting those 20 subs. Such an amazing thing. Thank you. All these new subs that are coming in. Awesome. Yeah, we appreciate everyone. And hello to Deadpan, Slovakia Steph that were just creeping in here. I see you, friends. I see you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So those are going to be kind of trickling in, Ray. But yes, so tell us about your job description, my dear.
Yeah, so my official title is content creator. That's the general title. I'm one of two content creators at Czech Games Edition. So it's myself and Eleni, who you might know as Cardboard Rhino. She does the YouTube stuff. That's her focus. And I do all of the Twitch streaming. And I also do the Discord and community stuff that goes along with that. So my job is basically I stream for the Czech Games Edition Twitch channel, and I do other various marketing things related to the streaming community. Like Codenames, for example, is very big on Twitch, so I handle marketing relations around that kind of stuff. Things that have to do with live streaming and live streamers, it all comes to me.
Awesome. Very cool.
So something I found out about you while I was at Gen Con. No, nothing bad.
I don't know why I'm going into this.
Did you see how serious he got, though, Ray? For a second, he's like, okay. So
what can I say? Well, I get into like interview mode. I don't mean to be like so serious, but it's just what happened. But anyway, yeah. So at Gen Con, I found out something about you. Nothing bad, obviously, but CGE is not where you got your start, is it?
No, it is not. CGE is not my first job in the board game industry. I actually worked for an indie publisher for 3 years, I think, before I made the transition to CGE. Now I've been at CGE for about a year, but yeah, I was doing work for an indie studio for about 3 years, during college, right after college. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Right on. And then you also did a bit for Resonum too, didn't you?
Yep, that's the publisher I'm referring to. Yeah.
Okay, right on. Yeah, I like a lot of their stuff. Like Monarch is the game I'm most familiar with, and
nice.
I rather enjoyed that one.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm really looking forward to their next Kickstarter, Retrograde. That's going to be a good one.
Retrograde is great. I worked on that game. That was the last game I
worked
closely on. Yeah, before I left. I worked on a lot of their like recent titles that they published, and they slow roll them out because you have to do Kickstarter and then you have to do fulfillment and stuff, so you can still see my hand a little bit in Resonum stuff, but I think as of now they're moving on to stuff that's totally new that wasn't in development when I was there, so I get to now experience the like surprise along with everyone else. They've run through all the prototypes that I worked on or I helped with while I was there, so it's exciting now to be on the other side of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's very, very cool. So, Ray, speaking of like indie publishing and stuff, was that also your introduction into board games in general, or like what is your origin story with board gaming?
So that was definitely not my introduction to board games. I've been board gaming my entire life. My mother actually is a huge board gamer, and she brought me up with board games. So like my first board game was probably Catan when I was like 5. Had no clue what was happening.
Wow.
I have like I grew up with like modern board games. We skipped everything else. We went straight to like modern board games, which I'm really, really thankful for. I've got a lot of much older siblings than me, so like everyone else was like a teenager in their 20s, and then my parents, and they wanted to play real games. Like they did not want to play baby games with me. No one wanted to dumb anything down for me. They're like, if you want to play with us, you sit here, you're gonna lose, but if that's what you want, I guess you can hang out. Literally,
Wow.
I'm not even joking, that was my introduction to board games. Of like, no one was gonna let me win, no one was gonna play Candyland. They wanted to play real board games, and if I wanted to hang out with them, I would have to sit there and kind of figure it out. So I've been playing board games forever. Board games are a huge part of my family. It's something that we all take part in all the time, and it was just a massive influence on me growing up. And I always wanted to get into games. I initially started wanting to get into video games, and I did a little bit of video game work before I moved to board games. But the end goal was always to try to get into tabletop at some point, and I sort of stumbled into it, and I'm very, very grateful. It's something that I always wanted to do, but I didn't know it was a real job, until it kind of popped up out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, I'm going to follow this until they forced me out, because I had no idea that it was a career you could genuinely pursue and have for your whole life. So yeah, I am very, very grateful to be here.
Awesome. Do you have any games in particular you remember playing with your family?
Oh man, all kinds of games. I mean, Catan was the big one that we started with, and then I think probably the next one that anyone would have ever heard of. I mean, there are very obscure titles that my mom used to find at yard sales and stuff. So like I grew up on like Shipwrecked and Elixir, but I'm not going to talk about those because no one knows what they are because they were yard sale games from the 90s. So I'm not going to talk about those. But like, I remember the first game I feel like I really fell in love with would probably have to be Seven Wonders. I remember absolutely being in love with that game as like a tween. That and when I started getting into heavier games, Agricola was like the big one. And that's kind of where we started to lose my other family members, was around the Agricola level of heaviness. And it would just be me and my mom.
Okay.
Because my mom's the only other family member who really will dive into heavier games with me. So those are probably some of the most nostalgic games for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I remember as a kid for myself that my family was into a lot of like party games, so we would play like Taboo.
Yeah.
And we would do like giant like Mad Libs and Scattergories and Pictionary and like. Okay, so when they have those like movies when they show people doing Pictionary and there's like that giant easel of like drawing paper and stuff? That didn't happen in our house. Like we were grabbing random scraps out of like the phone book and like there's just nothing like that's not realistic. Like I'm like, who has an easel of paper that they would just play Pictionary?
No,
it was like
that's completely legit, Jess. Like I remember playing Pictionary as a kid, and it came with like this like 3x3 like square blank pad of paper.
Well, yeah. So the little pad of paper, you don't get like the giant like Bob Ross easel like that they show in the movies. It's like, what is that?
or like, I mean, I'm going back into my random obscure game show knowledge here, but there was a show on in like the late '80s hosted by Bert Convy. It's called Win, Lose, or Draw. Like they were in like the living room and they had that giant easel. Like I was expecting like the home versions to be like that. No, they give you a tiny pad of paper.
Yeah. So it was like, how am I supposed to draw something like so obscure, like I don't know, like a city skyline or something like that on this like tiny little piece of paper? But anyway, I digress. That is so awesome. So Ray, with like Catan and stuff, did you find a certain like mechanism that you were drawn to? Do you like worker placement games or dice manipulation or stuff like that?
I fell in love with worker placement with Agricola. Oh my god, I still love it so much. It's still probably my favorite mechanic. And I remember because it was the first game of that kind I'd ever tried. I went from like Catan and maybe some Seven Wonders. Remember playing Dominion around that time. Oh, you're like your basic like entry weight games, right?
Right.
And Agricola was the first one where it was a little bit more. And I remember when I remember trying to learn Agricola from the rulebook with my mom and like not understanding how it worked and like the concept of a worker placement game and how like over time like it didn't click with me. And I remember when it finally did, I was like, this is genius. I like was very obsessed with Agricola for a very long time. I thought it was brilliant. So yeah, that was definitely where my love of worker placement games and thematic worker placement games
That's awesome.
Came from, for sure.
That's awesome. James says, I make my nieces and nephews play hobby games as well. Often have them start with easier stuff like Strike, which is fantastic. James, I'm curious, do you call it Gladiators in an arena or do you call it dice in a bowl? because that's always the controversy there. And yes, like Phantom said, if anyone has any questions in the chat, please feel free. We do have a question from Slovakia Steph. Good evening to you, my dear. She says, did your mom hog all the wood in Agricola like my sister-in-law does?
No, the resource hogging strategy is definitely mine. That's what I'm doing in Agricola for sure.
Oh, and James asked, Ray, what is your favorite retro video game?
Oh, don't ask me. That's a whole conversation. Oh, it depends on how we're defining retro. Depends on what we mean by favorite. There's a lot of terms we need to define when answering that question.
Is that a loaded question? Like, what's your favorite board game?
It's a very loaded question. I feel like answered simply, Final Fantasy VII, but a lot of people wouldn't consider that retro. I do because I'm a baby. Okay.
PS1 is definitely retro.
Okay,
but let's make it easy on you. Let's split this up into 3 parts.
Sure, I'm ready.
8-bit Jen, what's your favorite retro game?
Zelda 1.
16-bit.
Oh, is the SNES 16-bit or is it 32-bit?
SNES is 16.
Okay, Chrono Trigger, easy.
Oh, good answer. Okay,
I love Chrono Trigger.
What about 64-bit? So like N64, Sega Saturn, those kind of things.
Mario 64.
Obviously a classic. Okay, now we're going into like disc based. You've already said Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
I draw the line particularly at PS2, so we'll end with there.
In a very similar vein, Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy X.
Good choices.
I'm a big Final Fantasy person.
You have just passed Joe's gauntlet. Good job, Ray.
You passed.
The way I want to always be asked that question. I will never accept anything less than walking through the eras because it makes my anxiety so much better of like not having to choose a favorite.
Yeah.
No, because I'm the exact same way. Like I am also a great lover of video games, and if somebody asks what's my favorite, like I have like a Rolodex in my head.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you narrow it down by like platform and genre, it makes it so much easier to answer.
Helps a lot for sure. Oh, so good. Yes.
All right, James says he lets the rolling dice tournament determine what strike is called for the year. This year it is called Dyson Bowl. Also, your favorite CGE stream moment from Gen Con, asked James.
Oh, from Gen Con. Oh man, that's really hard.
James is throwing the hardballs today. I told you, Ray, to be prepared for anything.
I think it's a toss-up. I'm gonna cheat and give 2 answers. I think my sorry, I just choked. Favorite moment would probably no. I'm not gonna cheat. Favorite moment was sitting down in between segments for some like lunch and having Eric Yurko come up and just sit down and just start talking to my camera. And he was like, chat, ask me questions. And chat and Eric talked for like 20 minutes. Chat just rattling off every question they could think of. And Eric just, Eric responding in his like classic ever sharp, immediate wit. Like I was just sitting there like, this is incredible. I needed to eat. I needed a break. It was one of those like serendipitous things that doesn't happen if you're not streaming at a con. It was one of those weird things where like, there's my friend who's just gonna sit down and talk to you for a little bit. It was just awesome. And Eric's not a streamer, and anytime I can get him on camera, it makes me happy because he's so naturally charismatic and so good at it.
Yeah.
I know he'll never do streaming because he's a print man, and I understand that. But it was just a beautiful moment. I loved it.
Yeah.
It's so great. So speaking of Eric,
sure.
We need to address the giant Ray craze.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
So for those that aren't familiar, so at Gen Con in the CGE room, they had this giant poster, or it was like an advertisement to join the CGE community, and it's you and Eleni, and you're both like 8 feet tall. But
it, like, to be fair though, they're like beautiful images of like these 2 people. Like,
Eric starts taking selfies with just you, and then everybody gets in on it and starts this whole giant Ray craze. Like, are you like flattered or worried, or like what's your feeling on the giant Ray craze?
It's just trippy. It's just really weird. I mean, I'm flattered. Obviously, it's very, very sweet. It's it's just weird, man. Like we talked about this a little bit earlier, but like I would be sitting down playing games with a friend and I'd look over and there would be very well-known people, like designners that I know who definitely don't know who I am, taking pictures with my face, and Eric, you're being like, like right now. It's like, it's just very surreal, I think is the best word I could use. I mean, I can't lie and say that it's not flattering and cool, because it is, and Eric's amazing and he's ridiculous, and I love that he's found something that brings him joy.
I mean, he's definitely brought the community closer to you, that's for sure.
That is definitely for sure.
The community has been brought together over my giant face, so I can't not be happy about that.
Yeah,
I will say it cracked me up because like I wasn't at Gen Con and all of a sudden I open up Twitter and I'm like, raise face. I'm like, what?
It was ridiculous.
I'm like, and so I asked Joe, I'm like, is there any reason that raise face is literally my whole Twitter timeline? And he filled me in and I was like, that makes so much more sense. I was very confused. I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
like
oh, this is no random thing. Like, Eric started this, and it just snowballed into everybody taking their picture with this giant
if you
picture.
wanted to like post a picture of you and your friends from that night, your only option was the picture you took in front of my face.
It was. That's all
He
I saw.
cornered the market on selfies from that meetup. It was crazy.
Yeah, it totally did. He was like, "You're taking pictures? No. I have the perfect backdrop for you. You have to come over here."
Come with me. Like, it was madness. It was awesome.
It was so good. So segueing on that, Alkali has a question for you. What's your favorite CGE thing? It could be a game, a stream, event, or whatever comes to mind.
Favorite CGE thing is the patented CGE weirdness. And I don't know how else to better describe that. Like, all of our games are kind of weird and quirky and strange, and CGE kind of has this vibe of like they just want to make weird things that they enjoy, and there's like no what's gonna make us the most money, what's the most profitable theme. They're like, we want, like, deal with the devil. We want to make a weird game where it's 4 players only and you're in medieval Europe and one of you's the devil. Like, just weirdness. And like Galaxy Trucker is just the most strange thing in the world. The CG weirdness, just a bunch of goofballs getting together making games, it makes me happy.
That's a fantastic question. So James has another question for you. Do you play any solo games, and have you completed the Under Falling Skies campaign?
Kind of, and no. I've never been a big solo gamer, especially like, I think this comes from the fact that board gaming for me was always a very social thing. It was a family thing. I very rarely played board games with fewer than 4 people. It's kind of just always been this inherently social experience for me. So solo games weren't even on my radar really until I started streaming, and you can't always have a guest. You can't always have someone there to play with you. And that was what sparked me looking into solo games a little bit. And even then, whenever I can, I make chat play with me. I pick a role and write that chat can play with me. I like that interaction. But there are some solo games that I do very much enjoy. Under Falling Skies, of course, being one of them. I have not finished the campaign yet, but it is on my list.
That game is so awesome. Like, I kind of want to savor it, because if I like finish the campaign, I'm just like, oh, it's done now.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Abby, did you have anything you want to ask Ray?
Yeah. So, what is your go-to player color? Is there like
Green.
Something that you'll shank people for,
I will
or
shank someone for green. The problem is, so will everyone else who works at CGE. Literally, our CEO won't play a game if he can't be green. Like, he genuinely,
Wow.
like, it's no joke. He will walk away from a table. So I have learned to be flexible, but if I have a choice, 100% green.
I love that.
Yeah, it's everyone at CG really likes green. It's really annoying.
I mean, how coincidental is that so many people like green?
Yeah. Oh man. Let's see. Oh, Salakia Steph says Giant Ray is kind of scary, but Alkali Metal confirms Giant Ray isn't real. Giant Ray can't hurt you.
She can't hurt you as long as you don't look in her eyes for longer than 5 seconds. That's the rule.
Now we know how to say safe from Giant Ray. So perfect.
Yeah. Now we know what to do.
Yeah, so I think you kind of already answered this question already, but if you want to touch on it a little bit more, Alkali asks, have you ever played any games with CGE CEO? Obviously, if you know his favorite player color, you had to have had played some games.
I have actually only played CGE prototypes with the CEO. We've never sat down for a casual game before, honestly, because he's always working. Whenever I am in the Czech Republic for work, our CEOs work tirelessly. So I haven't had the opportunity when it's not work adjacent for prototypes and stuff, sadly.
Nice. Well, speaking of the Czech Republic, let's talk about the other important topic here on Board Gaming Streams, food.
Ooh.
Have you dined in anything at the Czech Republic that you were like, oh my gosh, why don't they have this back in the States?
Oh, goulash is very good.
Yeah?
Goulash is delicious. I was very upset by the terminology they use about goulash. So goulash is basically meat in a meat sauce with like a potato-y mound, kind of like a little bready boy. It's like bready, I don't know, bready potato.
Okay.
And they call those dumplings, and that deeply upsets me. And that was a whole argument with my Czech coworkers for the longest time. Was they believe anything that is bread or encompassed in bread is a dumpling, which is very confusing for me.
Interesting.
Don't agree with that definition, but it's very tasty. I mean, everything in the Czech Republic is meat and potatoes and bread. That is everything. At least from my brief experience there, which is great because those are my favorite categories. So I love eating the Czech Republic. We have one vegetarian coworker who struggles kind of. But I've loved everything I've had there.
Have you had, what are they called? I think they're, help me out, Abby. I think they're called kolaches, like the cookies, right?
I vaguely know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Have you had those, Ray, where they have like jam in the center?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I
know that they're like special to the Czech Republic. I mean, we've had different variations, but they're like they're some kind of like cookie. Oh my gosh, I have to like Google it so I don't sound like
it's
a dum-dum.
like a weird. It's like a cookie. The one that I've had was like almost like a shortbready type cookie, so it was kind of like flaky-ish, but it had like jam and nuts on the inside. And then I ate like 17 of them because they left the cookie container next to me, and then I was like, I don't even know what these are. And the provider that I was working with that made them, he's like, well, they're these things. And I was like, well, I ate them all. So there's that.
So they're like some kind of like nice, like sugary pastry that they have like jam in the middle. And so, I don't know. They just look delicious. And I've had some people that I know that live in the Czech Republic, like talk about it. They're like, that's kind of like a specialty kind of thing. But so no kolaches. You might have to go and check them out next time, Ray.
I'll ask about that next time I go, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, and Alkali Metal, have a great evening. Let us know what you're making for supper. Don't sign off yet. We need to know.
Yes, definitely need to know. So staying on the topic of food, I was paying a little bit of attention to your Twitter pre-Gen Con, and you were talking about, Ray, a lot of your CGE coworkers. It was their first time here in the States, and they had some interesting food experiences.
Oh, gosh.
Want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, the very first time we took them out to dinner at Gen Con, one of my coworkers had never been to the U.S. before. I don't think he's traveled much outside of Europe. And we sit down at we sat down at, I'm blanking on the name. One of the big burger houses that's like right by the convention center. And we sit down and he opens up the menu and in his very thick Czech accent, he's like, you breed boneless chickens here?
Oh my gosh.
And I was so mad because someone immediately was like, no, it means. I was so mad because I was so ready. Because in fairness, they culturally gaslight me when I come there about things in the Czech Republic that aren't true. I just wanted gooey boneless chickens. That's all I wanted. I just wanted to convince Ursus that our chickens had no bones. And someone immediately stepped in and was like, oh, no, it means this. I was so mad because I was ready. Tell him, like, yeah, that's just how we bred the bones out of our chickens.
That's fun.
It was that, and we got to introduce them to horseradish for the first time, which apparently is not a thing In at least
Ooh.
most of Eastern Europe, they don't have horseradish there, which is hilarious. If you dig through my Twitter feed to around Gen Con time, there's a video of a Lenny trying it out for the first time, and that I
Oh my
successfully
goodness.
pulled off the gaslight, no one say anything thing where she was like, oh, I don't like spicy things. And we're like, oh, it's fine. You'll be fine. At St. Elmo's famously very spicy shrimp cocktail that's in a horseradish sauce. It was incredible. It was so funny.
Wow.
That has to happen to every European employee that comes over to Gen Con for the first time, is they have to try horseradish for the first time. Because it's an unfamiliar bodily feeling to most of them, and it's hilarious.
Oh, that is
I
so
love it.
Oh man, I remember I traveled a few years back. My husband and I went to Belgium, and we had they're like one of their traditional dishes is called snowflakes, and it's basically like a potato, like piles of potatoes with like brown gravy and like meat. So it's like you would think of kind of like poutine, but in a way it's like more hearty, like a stew, but kind of made in this just beautiful creation on your plate. And what I learned is that several different families have their own like take on snowflakes, and so you have to go to either a restaurant to get like the truest Belgian snowflakes. And so our friends were like, we have to go to this other location over here and this certain restaurant to get snowflakes. And then we absolutely loved it. We were like, this is the best thing ever, because potatoes and anything covered in gravy, Abby, you know, being a potato, it's like it's everything's good. Just amazing, whatever, right? So we go back to the States, and here in Oregon, we have a giant like food truck scene, and one of the food truck pods in our area had a Belgian cart that just opened, and we were like, oh my gosh, maybe they have snowflakes. No, it was not. And we were like, shame on your country, shame on your food. Like, no. We weren't really, but like we were secretly judging them as we were trying to consume this meal that clearly was not snowflakes. But I could just see that like going over to a different country and they'd be like, this is our traditional dish. And you're like, what in the world is that? And then try to recreate it here. And it's just a whole other story. But we have so many wonderful people coming in.
Bringing me cheese.
Yay!
I love it.
Baby.
I love
Let
it.
me eat some cheese.
Yeah, we had a bunch of folks come in. So hello to Anne Foglight, Jamie Daggers, Rennie Mai. Welcome into all of you.
Yeah. This is Community Connections, friends. Myself and my lovely co-host Joe and Abby are welcoming the delightful Ray from CGE here for just a cozy little chit chat for you all on this Monday evening or Tuesday morning if it's, if you're over in our Europe friends across the pond. This is going to be really, really early in the morning for you. So good morning to you all. Because like for some of you, it's probably like 4 a.m. right now. So that is crazy.
Definitely close to it.
Ooh, James, you're just throwing all the good questions.
Always asks the good questions.
Yeah. Read the next one, Abby. Read the next one from James.
So what is your happy place?
Gen Con, 100%. Gen Con is my happy place, and I mean that very sincerely. I love Gen Con so much.
Aww. Why do you love it?
It was the first place where I discovered that the board game community existed. So my first Gen Con was kind of a weird experience where I had just started working at Resonum, the indie pub that I used to work for. And last minute, the CEO of the company couldn't make it. She got stuck in France or whatever and couldn't come over and couldn't make it. And they needed someone to run the booth because when you have a small company like that, you need bodies in the booth. And they last minute, literally 3 days before Gen Con, asked me if I could go to Gen Con for the first time. And I had never been to a board game convention ever. I was still kind of new to the my job and being in the industry to any degree. I was very new. And I remember going to Gen Con for the first time, and also for the first time being an exhibitor is very, very cool. You get to see the inside of the hall being set up and stuff. And I'm seeing this massive Catan booth coming to life and just losing my mind. Of all, most people start at a local board game con. Most people don't go straight to Gen Con as an exhibitor. It was just everything all at once. And once the con started, I fell in love with demoing. It kind of breaks my heart that I don't get to demo for CGE, and that was a big sticking point when I was hired. They're like, we hire demoers. We have people who come to demo our games, and I was very upset because I really, really love sitting down with someone and teaching them a game that I love. I was like, I get to do that for work. It was amazing. And I very distinctly remember after my first day at Gen Con, going home and calling my mom and just crying and just being like, I think I found my place. Like, I think I found my place. I think I found my people. And I was like, you wouldn't believe it. Like, there's so many people, and everyone I meet loves board games as much as you and I do, because I just hadn't been exposed to the board game community before. And that was when I was like, okay, how do I do this thing forever? How do I recreate this Gen Con community feeling all the time, even when this event isn't happening? And that's kind of how I got into the content side of stuff.
That's such a delightful story to know. Like, you go into a place and you're just instantly accepted.
Yeah,
like, that just gives you all the feels, you know?
Yeah, and I just didn't know that other people loved this hobby as much as I did. I had kind of been insulated where, I feel like a lot of people, when they are introduced to board games, they're introduced to them at like college or something with their friends and stuff, but it had always just kind of been a family thing that I had just done when I went home, and to be surrounded by so many people who were this excited about it as I was, it was just magic. So
yeah, that's really cool. So speaking of the convention scene and everything, do you have a favorite experience from a con, like where you had like a fangirl moment where you're like, oh my gosh, there's so-and-so over here? And like, did you have one of those?
Video evidence of this moment. If you search hard enough on the internet, you can find it. Last Gen Con, so not Gen Con of this year, Gen Con of 2021. What year is it? Yeah, last Gen Con, I was meeting up with some friends in like the free play area, and I saw Paula Deming in the distance, and I had never met Paula Deming. And Paula Deming was a massive inspiration to me. I really look up to her as like another woman in content creation who's been very successful and has been delightful, and her comedy is hilarious. And I just really look up to her as a content creator. She's one of the first people I started watching when I started watching board game content. And I remember mentioning offhand, I was like, oh, it's Paula Deming. And suddenly, all of my friends around me were like, you should go say hi to her. She's really nice. And I was like, no, I'm scared. I can't. I don't know. I'm scared. And all of a sudden, they're all like peer pressuring me to go over there. So there's a video out there somewhere of one of my friends videotaping me walking up to Paula Deming and saying hi to her, and them all like laughing at me because I'm so nervous.
Oh my god!
She's really nice. It's fine. Why are you freaking out? So you can literally like hear them all behind the camera laughing at me. So that's probably my biggest fangirl moment. I also had a similar experience meeting Ross from More Games Please at this year's Gen Con. That moment was caught on stream. And that time, it was my chat peer pressuring me, being like, Rachel, we're getting bored. Go say hi.
Nice.
Go say hi. Because Ross was the big inspiration for me for streaming in particular. I really loved Ross's old streams that he used to do. I fangirl over everyone. I'm just a big fan of everyone. And if I watched your content to any degree and I meet you in person, I freak out and fangirl. There's no stopping it.
Aww, that's so awesome.
I could definitely relate to that. Like when I went to Dice Tower West back in March, that was my first, board game con, and I had been streaming on Twitch, just over a year at that point, and starting to find like all these people that I've only seen behind a computer screen. Interacted with that way, and just to see them in person, it's such a different experience. Like oh my god, like, do you know who you are?
Oh my god. That reminds me, God, there's so many of these stories of me embarrassing myself. One more. At PAX U, I passed by Matt Lee's at the hallway and ran into the bathroom and hid. And literally, couldn't. Because I love Shut Up and Sit. Who doesn't love Shut Up and Sit Dad? Ran into the bathroom and hid, and later came out and casually mentioned this to all of my coworkers, and they have not forgiven me for it. They still think it's hilarious that I was so starstruck that I turned and I recognized the hair, and I was like, I gotta go. I can't be here. I was like, I can't just casually enter into a conversation with this man. I might cry. And then I ran into a bathroom.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, I'll say one more thing. Like, I almost had that moment at Gen Con. Like, I was working, helping send up the CG room, and I see you out of the corner of my eye when I walk in there. And for a second, I'm like, oh my God, there's Ray. But then, like, I had to get over it because I'm like, all right, I'm here for a purpose. I'm gonna say hello, get back to work, and it was just such a wonderful moment getting to meet you for the first time.
That was super nice. I'm glad we got to meet before things got super hectic, because you were boothing for us, so I was able to come over and chat a little bit before I had to set up for stream and everything, which was super nice. I definitely very much valued that.
And wasn't there a point too, right? Like during one of your streams that you're like, oh, hey, there's Joe. And like, he was like carrying stuff, and everybody's like, hi, Phantom. Like,
oh, I still laugh when I think about it, because I watched it after the fact and I just started cackling because in the moment, like, I was running around and I think I was with Soften Your Razor and somebody else, and we were running like back and forth between the docks in the back of the exhibit hall and up to the CGE room with Tony, bringing up pallets like 20 different times. I'm like drenched in sweat, and I had no idea that Ray was streaming, and she's like, hey, there's Joe, there's Phantom Meeple. And I'm like, hi, I'm sweating and here, hello. Just like, I didn't know what to say.
Yeah. And I will also add to that, Joe, that when we were hanging out during Gen Con, I have had the pleasure also working like in the publishing side of things. So I've been able to like connect other creators and other designers and stuff. And there was a moment, I think it was when we met Omari. And you were like, I've never met Omari before. And you was like, hey, Omari, and I'm Joe Phantom Meeple. He's like, I know who you are. And you were like, what? Like,
I was so taken aback. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to meet Omari. And you're just like, you just totally went like How I Met Your Mother on me. You're like, have you met Omari? But the thing is, he was like so excited to meet me. Like, I was taken aback. I'm like, how the hell do you know who I am? I'm just a lowly little streamer who does things on a channel. Like, it was surreal.
It brought me so much joy though, because I was like, you haven't met Omari? You're going to now. And you're like, what? Like,
also, Omari's so nice.
He's such a doll. I love Omari.
Omari's the best.
Well, I don't know if you remember, Joe. So at Dice Tower, Mick and Starla from our family who plays games, they walked by me, and I like freaked out, and I was like, I went to run the other way because I'm like, oh my god.
The
and
fight or
like,
flight.
Yeah,
Totally
I
understand.
just like talked to them, and I'm like, you talked to them? And he goes, yeah, totally. We had a chat, and I'm like,
yeah, like that's right. I do remember that. Like, you kept on walking, and I'm just like,
I like booked it.
We're taking selfies. We're like introducing each other. And I'm like, where the hell did you go?
I'm like, I'm sorry, I just panicked because like I really love them, and you're like, oh my god.
Totally relate. Just the run, just the immediate, like, I can't just talk to this person.
Yeah, I was
this
like,
person doesn't know who I am.
Yeah, I was like,
gotta run.
I can't do that. And I'm not a fast walker at all because I'm really short. And he lost me. Like, I have never walked so I hustled. And he's like messaging me. He's like, where did you go? I'm like, I'm sorry, I panicked. I was like, what if they said hi? And he goes, you say hi back. And I'm like, I can't do that.
That is so incredibly relatable.
Like, we're already planning to go to Gen Con next year. And as much as I loved working for CGE, like, I need to just go to Gen Con. Like, I need that experience. But Abby's going to be with me, and like, I know how she's going to feel being in my situation for the first time. I'm like, this is so-and-so. This is so-and-so. And like, you're not going anywhere. Like, you need to meet these people.
He's going to like have me on a leash. I can feel it so that I can't run because my instinct will be like, no, I got to go. Goodbye.
Gotta go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally get that.
Oh man, it was so surreal. I think like all of us have been in that situation where we had someone else like, oh yeah, I know Rodney Smith. Like, let's introduce you to Rodney Smith. And I remember like that first time I met Rodney, I was like, it's Mr. Rogers of Board Games. It's Mr. Rogers of Board Games. Like, I watch you on YouTube like every week. Like, what is happening? And I guarantee you, friends, from my mouth to all of you on stream, Rodney Smith is just as much of a gem in real life as he is on stream. Like, every video you get is 100% Rodney. He is such a gem and a delightful part of this community. And I was just so excited to actually meet him and like chat with him. And he's yeah, just a big sweetheart. So,
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna lose it if I ever meet him in person. I'm with Ray on this one.
We gotta be together, Joe. We gotta
Yeah, right.
together.
So we can get our embarrassing video together, just us
Yeah.
like in the fetal position on the floor, sucking our thumb. Oh my God, it's Rodney Smith.
Yeah.
I will lose it. I just get that way about everybody. Like, oh my God, everyone's so amazing, and I feel like every content creator I know has influenced me in some way, and it's very overwhelming to meet someone who's influenced you in your content or your like view of the board game space. It's too much. You gotta run.
Yep.
You can't face your feelings and meet nice people who might be nice back to you.
Exactly.
Gotta run.
Gotta go.
Yeah, there's a select few people who I feel that way with. Rodney Smith definitely tops that list. But as far as meeting any other content creators, I think since I've had the ability to be on their streams and interact that way, I've already got like that buffer. It's like I've talked with this person, they know who I am, like it's all good. The fact that I haven't met Rodney Smith in person, like I'm gonna go like total like celebrity fanboy, like oh my God. So that's the difference.
It's okay. I'll make sure Ray, you and Joe can come with me, and I'll just be like,
Good.
"Hey, Rodney, here's my friends.
Thank you.
See you later." And me and Abby will go run away.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
I need my friends to be like, no, go talk to them. Go now. Do it. The only thing that got me to say hi to Ross was the imminent fear of disappointing my chat, because they're like, we're really disappointed in you, Ray. You've sat there for 5 minutes. We're getting increasingly more disappointed with you.
Oh man, no. And to be fair, like Ross is like super chill.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
you,
So
like,
of
chat
course
with him.
he always was gonna be, but I was like, what do I say? Like, I'm just scared.
Nice hair. Compliment him on his hair. Compliment him on his hair.
Oh, that's smart. I think one of my genuine fears is that I'm just gonna tell someone I love them on accident, and it's gonna be weird. Like, I just feel like it's gonna happen. I don't know to who it's gonna happen to, but like, I just get very flustered, and sometimes things come out wrong.
Oh my goodness.
No, that's cute.
Jess,
That's so cute.
Panda says you are a bit loud on
Yeah,
your end.
I'm working on it. Thank you, Panda. Thank you.
Yeah, and Ray, I'm with you on Ross. Like I have to give a debt of gratitude to Ross, because when I had first started streaming, I was very heavy into video games, and he was actually the first board game streamer that had me on as a guest to play a board game. So he is probably one of a few content creators, along with Amanda Panda, who's here in chat, and a couple others that kind of gave me that push to do board game content. So I totally understand the thing with Ross. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So I totally get that.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh man. So let's get back to some of our questions. Oh, there was a good one from Jamie. Jamie asked one a while back, which I thought was kind of cool.
Let's see. Let's scroll back up, see if I can. Oh, yeah, here we go. All right, Ray, you're in a hypothetical super battle against other board gamers. What game do you choose to challenge your opponent to ensure your victory?
I can beat anyone at Hive. That's my
Wow. Did you see how quickly Ray answered that?
Dedication.
She was like, player color
go. I
green,
will destroy
game,
anyone
hive.
at
Okay.
Wow.
And James has another question. What is your go-to abstract game, if you have one?
Other
Ooh.
than Hive. I definitely have one. I gotta look. I definitely have one. Right now, it's kind of been That Time You Killed Me from Pandasaurus.
Okay.
I really
I
enjoy it.
love that.
I'm actually teaching it to Eleni on stream tomorrow, so it's also kind of on my brain. But I've been playing that a lot with my partner. He's very, very good at it. It's very, very annoying. I'm hoping Eleni is worse than me, so maybe I can win a game. But I really enjoy it. I love a lot of Pandasaurus's games. And it's a really interesting take on like literally 3D chess, which is super, super cool.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
think that was my problem with it, is because I'm terrible at chess, and Joe's actually pretty good at chess. So like, I was just annihilated, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm doing here. And he's like, you just got to do this, and I'm like, well,
That's the
obviously I
thing.
didn't.
I'm bad at it too, but it's one of those games where I feel like I can get better at it, and that I feel when I'm playing it, I always feel like I'm really smart, and then my partner will be like, boom, 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 dead.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's like, I gotta do it again.
Wait, does he do the same thing if you play Clue against him? Because that would frustrate me. Like,
Ooh,
I know who did what and who killed who with the what, and then like
He would
we're
definitely
done.
be. I've never played Clue with him, but yes, that's how that would go for sure.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I do when I play games, like abstract or not. Like I try to think 1 or 2 moves ahead, because you got to be able to think on the fly if what you want to do gets taken.
Yeah.
Like it's just natural for me.
Yeah.
It's not for me, so that's why he
Nope.
usually wins games.
Yeah. Nope. Same with you and me, Abby. We're like right here. We're like, what am I gonna do on my very next turn?
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and I'm like, I think I might do this maybe, and he's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And this is why I always win at Castles of Burgundy.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm so bad at that, and I'm like, we're gonna play again, and I'm gonna win this time, and he's like, okay, honey, whatever you say.
As long as a game can convince you that you can win it next time, that's all I need to keep playing.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can try out different strategies and then you're like, okay, wait, that one didn't work. I'm going to try this next time. I think that's why I love Caverna so much, because you can like go heavy on the fields and farming, or you can just build out your cave and get a whole bunch of dwarves, and yeah. And then just all the bits. I'm a sucker for bits. So
All right. We got a couple more questions in chat. Abby, why don't you take those?
So James, well, first off, James wanted to know if you have a favorite wine and cheese pairing, and I feel like that is actually an important question that we should just ask every single person.
That
Yes.
is a great question.
yes.
Yeah, it's a late night stream and I'm actually not drinking wine, which is very rare for me. I love a good Merlot, and like a very, very, very sharp cheddar cheese is typically my go-to.
Ooh, I like it.
Nice. Nice.
So then he said, do you prefer perfect information games or others?
Ooh, as in like no randomness versus like everything kind of situation.
I think that's what he. Yeah.
I'm assuming that's what that. I don't know that I've ever heard that phrase, but I would assume that that's what that means. I like a little bit of randomness. I like a little bit of spice. I get overwhelmed with games where it's perfect information, because then there's those people who like know all the things and all the permutations, and they can like analytically pick the exact perfect move based on said perfect information. I like a little bit of spice. I like a little bit of chaos. I very much play my games emotionally. I am not a hyper analytical person, and I just want to do what feels fun and right in the moment, which is why I lose a lot, but I really don't play games to win typically. So having a little bit of that randomness, because I tend to not like people who are min-maxy and know exactly what to do, and randomness deters those people from playing with me. So that's, not a ton of randomness, but like a little bit of spice is what I like.
Yep, I think his follow-up question kind of explains that a little more. Input randomness or output randomness?
Ooh, output randomness for sure. If it like, I feel like that's the more rare of the two options, but yeah, output randomness for sure.
Ooh, gosh. Megsy has a question. Would you rather play the same game for the rest of your life, Ray, or a different game every time without being able to repeat?
Oh,
That's a
see,
good
that
one.
makes me anxious. It's the fact that it's one game. If it was like 5 games that you play over and over again, I think I would go for that, because I'm very much a nostalgic, like I want to play games that I know that are cozy to me. I don't particularly love learning new games. I know that's bad. And it always falls on me to be the learner anyways. And I don't really like it very much. I like to play what I know.
Sure.
But one game, I can't think of what that one game would be. And that makes me even more anxious. So I think I would go with a different game every time without repeating it, but it would be begrudgingly. Like, if you just up the number of repeat games that I can play, I think I'd go with that. But if it has to be just one or everything, I'd go with everything.
Yeah.
Okay, let's ease your anxiety then. List of 5 games that you can name right now, or a different game every time without being able to repeat.
Oh, these are the 5 games I play forever?
Yes.
Oh, no. Wingspan, for sure. Viticulture. Oh, but I want some party games in there, or I'll get sad. Oh no. I gotta have
You got 3 more. Okay.
Games. Gotta pick a different party game. Can't pick another word party game. Monstrosity.
Okay.
What's my 5th one? Oh God. What would I pick for my 5th one? I would say, oh no, this is so stressful.
So much eating anxiety.
Do I get expansions?
Sure, go for it.
Yeah.
Dominion and all of its expansions.
Ooh, that's a good call.
That's my answer.
Okay.
I
like
don't
those.
make me think about it more because I already am like, but I would swap out this for this.
No, you're good. You have splendid
That's my
answer
off
to
the
that
top
question.
of the head answer
Okay,
for that.
now let's kind of ease some of the chunky questions. Ray, in your organization of your board games, is it horizontal, vertical, or if it fits, it sits?
If it fits, it sits. It's a little bit of both behind me. Like, I've got these boys, I prefer vertical if I can, but some games, like this game, which I worked on, so I can't even be mad about it, but this game has to be stored horizontal, which makes me annoyed, but it has to be stored horizontal. So I can't mix and match. Like, if it's horizontal and then vertical, that makes me, oh, I don't like that. So I picked other games that can, like, survive horizontal.
Okay. And do
Vertical
you
is
color
possible.
code? It looks like you have some
Oh
sort of
yeah,
color
we got
scheme.
a nice little rainbow going on here.
I do love that so much.
Thank you. It is very impractical. I would not recommend it. Don't do it. It makes buying new board games very stressful because I'm like, I gotta buy more orange. All these games are blue. I need more orange. And then I on BGG asking for good orange games, and people are like, that's weird. Why? That's like the worst audience to ask like an aesthetic question to.
Well,
like,
that was
get it.
that was actually one of your pre-Gen Con streams.
Yes.
You organizing all of your shelves. Like,
yep.
is that just something you were meaning to do, or is
Yep.
that just something you wanted to pass the time and fill content with?
No, it was gonna happen anyways, and I figured I might as well hang out while I do it. But yeah, I had new games, so I was like, every time I get a substantial amount of new games, the whole thing has to be redone, which is very annoying, but it looks so pretty.
It
And
does.
that is very motivating to me. It looks so pretty.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's just, I like the aesthetic pleasing of like to the eye when you like look at your background. So yeah.
I sometimes I just sit and look at my collection. I'm a collector in general. I do the same thing with like my retro video games. Like just looking at things that mean a lot to me brings me joy. So if they're like organized nicely, it doubles that joy for me.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Joe, what do we got next? What do we got?
Yeah. Okay. So here's a good question that might make you think a little bit.
Ooh.
Do you still consider yourself a player first, a content creator second, or has the creative process overtaken your hobby aspect of gaming for you?
Oh no, Joe! No! That's my critical hit. I struggle with a lot actually. When content is your job and playing games is your job, it's really, really hard to find that balance. Especially like, I mean, it's like my full time, like playing board games pays my bills. It's my entire job. And I find it, oh, hello. Sorry, my partner's coming back in. Oh, you're right. Oh, thank you. I have a beverage now.
Yeah.
Thank you, baby. I think to answer that question truthfully, I'm a content creator first now. And that makes me sad. And I try very hard to, I mean, it doesn't make me sad. I love being a content creator, but I do have to actively work to counteract that, and to play games just for myself. Because yeah, it creeps up on you, and it's really hard to find that balance. And that balance is important to me because board games are my biggest hobby. And it's a danger whenever it's an industry of passion.
Right.
You got to be careful where you draw those lines between, work and am I playing this because I need to know what the newest games are so that I can stay relevant, or am I playing this just because I want to play it? And,
Right.
am I, it's really hard. It's really muddy. And I think if I were to answer it honestly, I'd have to say I'm more of a content creator first, but I work very hard to keep the player in me happy and satisfied, because as soon as you fall out of love with the hobby, then why are we here, you know?
Yeah, fair.
No one's
very
working
fair.
to make money. Like, if you don't love it, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So
And Legends, thank you for the hydrate. Everyone, take a sip of your beverage.
Yes, bottoms up.
Thank you so much. That was very well said, Ray. If you don't have the love for the hobby, what are you doing in board games? That should be on a t-shirt.
Yeah, like seriously, it is just a passion industry, and it's one of the things I love about it, because everyone here loves it, because I think as soon as you fall out of love with it, most people leave, because you work like crazy hours, you make no money. You're traveling all the time, you're doing all these things. If you don't love the hobby, if you don't love being a hobbyist first, you know, there are other ways you could use those skills. And I don't want that to happen to me. So
yeah,
it's a self-care thing for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the reasons I keep streaming, because I'm having fun with it. If it felt like, you know, a dull job, like I obviously wouldn't want to do it for fun. So I can totally see that aspect.
Organ says no one's doing this for money. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody's doing this to get rich.
Is lying to you.
Right. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, Ray, what is something that you would give to somebody that's just starting out in the hobby, or maybe even like seeking content creation and stuff? What would be like a piece of advice coming from you to them?
Ooh, for someone starting out in content creation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's such a good question. I gotta think about it.
Okay.
For someone starting out, I think the biggest trap, especially with streaming in particular, that people fall into is your stream does not need to be technically perfect before you start doing it. I feel like there's such a big barrier to entry for streaming that doesn't exist for TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and other social media platforms. There's a lot of tech that you need to learn to run a stream well, and it's super overwhelming. And I feel like a lot of people get bogged down in those details and buy the really expensive camera and stuff before they know whether or not they like talking to themselves in a room for hours. You know, like streaming is so unlike anything else. I think if you're looking to get into streaming in particular, like first thing is make sure your audio is good. That's the only thing you really need is good audio, be clear so people can hear you. And other than that, like if you don't have a good top-down camera, start with digital games, because you have a computer and you can screen cap that at 720p and that's fine. You know, start there and just start doing it, which sounds so cliche, but like you go back to my first streams deep on the Resonum archives, it looks, I don't know if I can swear here, it looks terrible. It looks really bad, and really, really bad, but it taught me how to be a good streamer. And yeah, that's my advice, is just start doing it, get the bare basics that you need. Don't watch endless hours of Harris Heller and how to have the perfect chroma lighting behind you. Don't worry about it. Figure out if you like that style of content before you invest any amount of serious money into it, because it's not for everybody.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice, because I had the same struggles when I wanted to get into, you know, streaming. I, you know, got a cheap Logitech camera. I, you know, pretty much got the bare bones minimum to do it. And it wasn't until I really started to like it that, you know, I looked into making it better. So that's a great piece of advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. Abby, you got anything next?
I do. What is the last game you backed on Kickstarter?
Ooh, Septima was the last game I backed on Kickstarter. I found it at Origins, and it's got a witchy, spooky theme, and that is literally all you need to sell me on a board game.
Oh, well, if that's all you need, then I've got a Kickstarter for you, Ray, that you probably need to check out.
Tell me, I'll open a browser right now.
Yeah, go ahead. I think it's got about 2 or 3 days left, but it's called Primordial Secrets.
Primordial Secrets. Okay.
I'm not going to say a word about it, but I want to get your opinion on it.
Oh, I like the art.
That's
oh,
all.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm into it. Yes, gimme. Oh my God, it's cool and kind of macabre. I'm backing it.
Yeah, you definitely.
Hell yeah.
So little background on Primordial Secrets. Why am I blanking on the name of the town? Abby, help me out here. Where Evergreen Tabletop Expo is.
Seattle.
Bellevue. Yes.
Bellevue. Okay.
So I met the creator Garth at this small expo, and it won the 2021 Northwest Lucy Award for independent game design. And then we also saw him at Gen Con, and I showed the game to Jess, and she was super interested in it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's like this deck builder, take that back and forth game. Like if you're all about like the macabre and the occult.
Yeah,
that's a game
I am now a proud backer. I just backed it.
Wow, multitasking.
Love me an impulse buy. You enable me, I will do it.
Did you pre-order a copy of Flamecraft too, Ray? Or...
No. Thank you for reminding me. Oh my goodness.
Oh, thank you.
Making Ray spend all the money now.
Do it, yes.
Yeah, it was so cute when Ray was showing, I think you were just going through like some cool games that you saw at Gen Con.
Yeah.
And she was just going through BGG and someone was like, Flamecraft, Ray, Flamecraft. And she's like, okay, I'll get to it. And then they're like, Flamecraft, Ray. And so like she typed it in and she was like, ah! Like
I lost my
mind exploding.
You could be different types of dragons, and the types of dragons you could be is hilarious because you could be your different types of dragons that can help you out at your shops. You could be a bread dragon. You can be a crystal dragon. You can be there's some really stupid ones, and I love it. Oh my god,
Bread Dragon? I saw you talk about that one.
Yeah, Bread Dragon. That's the new like Hogwarts house or like what type of bender question. That's the only question like that I will ever receive. What type of dragon are you? Are you bread? Are you stone? Like that's what I want. I'll have to pull up what are the types of dragons? You can have, hold on. I got it right here. You can be
This has now become a how much money can Ray throw at Kickstarter stream.
Yeah, hey Kickstarter, if you're listening, we want a cut.
Yeah.
Oh
Sponsor this stream.
Meat dragon. That's hilarious. You could just be a meat dragon. That's so funny.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Board Game Feast said there is a plushie of the bread dragon and it's called Daniel.
Of course it's called Daniel. You could be a potion dragon, a bread dragon, a meat dragon, a plant dragon, an iron dragon, or a crystal dragon. That's the only personality test that I will be accepting from now on because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
So great. We did have another question in chat from Jamie Daggers. Ray, have you ever had a heckler? And if so, how did you or how would you handle it?
Oh boy. First of all, hi, Jamie. I love you. Second of all, yeah. On stream, they happen rarely, luckily, because Board Game Twitch tends to be relatively great. I find that you really only get those hecklers when someone has infiltrated from outside the Board Game Twitch community. We've done a really great job of like kind of self-curating good vibes. But the number one thing is that my mods are incredible and they do a really, really, really great job of deleting stuff before I see it. So that the answer is I don't have to handle it because I am very sensitive and I will cry. But the couple times where things have kind of gone past my mods and come to me, the best piece of advice I have for dealing with hecklers or trolls is to just not engage with them because that's what they want. They're here on Twitch of all platforms to get a live reaction out of you. And literally, I just make fun of them and go like, wow, sucks that you're wasting your time doing that. And then I ban them. And I literally don't talk about it anymore. If it's something where I feel that it might have had a negative impact on my viewers, I maybe take a moment to be like, hey, a reminder that so-and-so people are welcome here. Like, sorry that person came in to see that. Like, if you need to take a break because that upset you, totally understand. And then we move on. Like, don't give them any more attention. Say something mean. Like, not say something mean, but be like, wow, you must be really bored if this is how you're spending your evening. And then I ban them because that's just how I handle it. Any more than that gives them way too much power. So I treat them like the silly people they are for wasting their time.
Yeah, I have a interesting story, not necessarily about like trolls, but in a kind of a way it was kind of a trolling. So I had a couple streams, like I don't know, probably like a year ago. I had a couple people in the chat come in and they were like, hi. And I was like, I'm always, for those that aren't familiar with my streams, I'm very engaged in like the chat. So I'll address you by your username and like, you know, say hi and everything. And, you know, just going about teaching my game. And so I was curious about this username because I wasn't familiar with them. And I'm usually familiar with who they are, you know, like either I've seen them in Discord or on Twitter or something. So I was curious and I like searched on Twitter after my stream was over, and it was this young kid playing Minecraft with their friends, and they were like, we should go on a raid, and they like, you know, that's like the cool thing you do on Twitch is you just raid somebody. And so they were still on stream, and I'm catching this on their VOD, and they had like their stream set up, and they're like, just type in board games and one of my streams pops up, and so they click on it. And they're still recording live, friends. So when I'm like, hi, how's it going? They're like, oh no, oh my gosh, she said hi to me. What do I do? And they're like, shut it down. And like,
oh, okay, that doesn't sound malicious. At least.
Wow.
They were, but they're like freaking out. They're like, oh my gosh, I didn't, because they were probably familiar with like sneaking into a chat and not getting acknowledged and then sneaking away. And like, they were like, oh my gosh. And like the other friend that was like streaming with them, you could hear them in the background. They're like, look on her Instagram, she has a cat. And so they like tab over and they see like all the pictures of my cat on Instagram. And it was just so funny. They were like, hi, your stream is so wholesome. And they're like, shut it down. And it was just so funny.
Oh, that's
I love it.
But it was just so sweet. And like, I'm glad that that's been like the only time, you know, like I've had others that are just kind of like, I'm not so sure. But again, my mods have been just easy, like bop, bop, bop with the band hammer. Yeah. But yeah, that one just like, that just made me like giggle inside because I was like, oh, they thought they were just gonna like sneak into like a, you know, a clubhouse and like sneak away.
Oh, that's very wholesome. Yeah. That's very sweet.
Yep, and while we're on the subject of heckling, and Ray, you don't have to answer this, but it's one thing that I have kind of admired you for, and I don't think it's any bit of mystery. Most of the community knows that you are dyslexic, and you kind of embraced it.
Yeah.
What gave you the motivation to embrace your disability, just go with it, and kind of turn it into a running gag? Like,
yeah.
You can't bully me, I'm dyslexic. Yeah. That's a great question. I appreciate you asking it. Where do I start with this? It's not something that I think I ever would have done, you know, like 5-ish years ago. I used to be very self-conscious about my dyslexia. I always had to work very hard to like compensate for it. Because dyslexia is one of those things where it can affect your academic ability, but it's not correlated to like your intelligence or something. So like I have a high, like as a kid, you know, I have a high reading comprehension, but my reading level is very low, and that can be very frustrating. And so I spent a lot of my life like being in upper level classes and just working twice as hard to read the amount of material and just trying to hide it. And once I started streaming, can't hide it. I can't cold read worth anything. And you'll notice that when I do my Magical Diary Wolf Hall stream, it's me cold reading a visual novel, and I trip over my words all the time, and people with usernames that have no discernible regular English word in them, I just look at that and I'm like, that's a whole bunch of letters, and I don't know how to say it, because a lot of ways dyslexics cope is you memorize words, as opposed to like one of the things that's really hard about dyslexia is you don't know how to sound out words. Like that concept doesn't make sense to you, like that. It just doesn't work. So a lot of it, at least for me in my experience with dyslexia, you memorize what things sound like and what words look like and how they sound. So when you're presented with a fantasy word or with a username that isn't familiar, my brain just doesn't know how to process it. And so it was just something I could never hide. And I could either spend every stream embarrassed and beating myself up about it, or I could just make it a joke, because it also makes other people uncomfortable. If you're on stream and you're like kind of beating yourself up and like feeling awkward and self-conscious, it's hard on viewers because no one wants to watch someone like in that headspace. That's not fun. That's not entertaining. And I've always kind of been a self-deprecating person. That's one of my humors. It's one of my defenses. And that just was the easiest thing for me. And I think it also just takes the pressure off my audience from feeling bad or weird for me. If we all just joke about it, it's fine. I'm going to butcher yours name. You're going to tell me how to say it, and I'm going to forget tomorrow, and I'm going to trip over my words, and that's just how it is. And I'm very, very grateful and very, very lucky that the community has embraced it with good faith. Like, no one has used that to genuinely make fun of me. It's always like a laughing with me thing, and I don't know how that happened because, you know, it's the internet and people will use anything against you, and I've been very blessed with people who kind of get the vibe of like, I am making fun of myself, it's okay, as long as you're doing it in the same sort of spirit that I'm doing it, it's okay. And yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Ray, too.
That's very awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's very awesome. Very, very awesome.
Let's see, a couple more questions in chat from Panda. What other color would you dye your hair?
Ooh.
I've actually been, this is a sneak peek, I've been very seriously considering dyeing my hair black recently. It has been on my mind for a very long time. It may or may not happen next weekend. We'll see. I'm going to see my hairdresser and I'm going to decide impulsively when I get there if I want to stay with green or if I want to change to black. So stay tuned. I still don't know what I'm doing.
So does that mean your player color is going to change to black then?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, because I think as long as I've watched you stream, I think you've had green hair. I think it'd be really strange to see you with just another color just out of the blue.
That's the problem. So I used to change my hair like monthly. If you go back into the archives of my streaming history, particularly on the Resonum channel where I streamed for years before I switched to CGE and even my personal channel, I had a different hairstyle all the time, constantly changing. And then I just happened to have green hair when I got hired by CGE, and all of the art assets that they made for me and all of the promotional stuff all has me with green hair. And I literally had someone come up to me at Gen Con 2021 and be like, "You're the green-haired girl from Twitter." And I was like, "God damn it.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Forever now."
Oh, I feel your pain. That's kind of similar to how my icon came about. So one day on stream, I had my hair up in twin buns, like I did just randomly, and my buddy Del Demon drew my icon. Didn't even ask him to do it. He just did it. He's like, "Here, use it as an emote. I had some inspiration. Do it." I'm like, "This is awesome. Like, I will do that because it's a really good drawing." And now I can't because I am literally recognized by my hair.
Yeah. It's a blessing and a curse because it's really cool. You've got a concrete brand that people recognize you by. Like, people come up to me like, "You're the green hair girl from Twitch." And I love that is like, I mean, not to be like super corporate and weird about it, but like that recognizability is good for brand building, right? But then I also start panicking because the whole reason I started dyeing my hair in the first place is because I like change and I like to surprise people. So now it's like this, I don't know what to do, and I'm starting to get antsy and I don't know, and like I'm gonna have to like roll up to the graphics people at CGE and be like, "So about all of the art assets you made, can you change them because they don't look like me anymore?" So I don't know. I feel like the longer I leave it green, the bigger impact it's going to have when I change it, the more like people are going to be like, "Who are you?" Which is both fun and terrifying. So I don't know. We'll see. It'll be, at the end of the day, it's going to be an impulse decision because that's how all my decisions are made.
I think you should just tear off the Band-Aid, choose a color, and go with it. That's what I think you should do.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it.
Abby's just like, "I want to do my hair this color." I'm like, "All right, we're going to Sally's. Let's go get the stuff."
I miss that, Frito. I used to do that all the time. But I also like the green more than any other hair color I've had, so I'm like happy with it. But also like the fire of change is like, I miss it. So we'll see.
Yeah. Have you ever met a doppelganger of you, Ray?
Yes. How did you ask that question? Wait, was that a planned like
No,
question?
That was just off the cuff.
Yes, I have. It was very weird. So at Gamma, my first time at Gamma this past year, oh my God, JV knows exactly the story I'm about to tell because this is a mutual friend of ours, Jordan from TurboDork, which is a mini paint company. She was at Gamma. I had never met her before, didn't know who she was. And I start getting messages on Twitter like halfway through Gamma of people being like, "I totally thought I saw you in an elevator and then it wasn't you and it freaked me out," or people coming up to me and being like, "Hey, it was nice to see you at the bar the other night," and me being like, "Definitely wasn't at the bar the other night. What are you talking about?" Like people coming up to me and saying like, "Oh, I had a nice time chatting with you. Never met this person in my life. Pretty sure I didn't get blackout drunk." Starting to get very confused. And then through the like people at Gamma, I see this woman with green hair and I was like, "Oh no, is that that must be this person that people are confusing me for. And I'm seeing her like sporadically all through the con, and she also dresses typically in all black. She has a green bob. She has blunt bangs. She has gold glasses. It was so spooky. She's also relatively tall. And I start to freak out, and finally I like post on Twitter, I'm like, hey, if you're the other girl at Gamma that has green hair, bangs, gold glasses, and wears all black, like, come say hi to me, we should be friends. And eventually I'm at like the bar one night, and she comes up to me, and we're now very good friends. And it was really funny, because once we met each other, we started hanging out, we had people come up to us and be like, oh, you are two different people.
Oh, that's funny.
The last day of the con, we're just hanging out at the CGE booth talking, and we have this old guy come up to us, and I am not exaggerating. This is straight what he said to us. He comes up to us and he says, I haven't slept all weekend. And we're like, huh? Hi, sir. Who are you? And he goes, I was in Army intelligence. It was my job to identify and find people, and the two of you have been messing with me all weekend, and now that I've seen you together, I can sleep again. And then he walked away. So we ruined this.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Circadian rhythm for like 72 hours. It was hilarious. If you ever meet Jordan from Turbo Dork, she will validate that story for you. It 100% happened. It was very weird.
Wow.
It was awesome. She's a delight, and luckily she was very sweet about it, because she kept getting mistaken for me and I kept getting mistaken for her the entire weekend. But yeah, I'm trying to think about what her Twitter handle is, but if you find Jordan from Turbo Dork and look her up on Twitter, we look identical, and it's very spooky.
Oh, well then, to add to that, Alone Shark says, well, whereas I got called Ray at a convention, but maybe they were red-green colorblind?
You got called Ray at a convention? We had the same haircut, but yeah, she has the red version of my hair.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's better to be called one of your friends than like some
That's
like
true.
random person that could be just like terrible, and you're like, oh gosh, I don't know. Legend says, I saw Ray and her doppelganger on stream once.
Yeah, we did a stream together after we came home from Gamma. I was like, we got to do something together now. This is too serendipitous.
Oh, that's
awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
Joe, are we ready to do the James Lipton questions?
I think so. So I will introduce this a little bit. So for those of you that are familiar with a little show called Inside the Actors Studio, there was a gentleman by the name of James Lipton who was a professor at NYU who taught acting classes. And at the end of his interview, he would always ask the same 10 questions of his guests. So I have taken his questionnaire, I have modified it to be board game adjacent, and Ray is going to be the first recipient of this questionnaire. And I'm really looking forward to this because I have no idea how it's going to go, but this should be a fun time. So, Ray, my dear, are you ready?
I am born ready. Joe, hit me.
All right, here we go. What is your favorite board game?
Viticulture.
Okay. What is your least favorite board game?
Oh, I'm gonna make so many people so mad.
That's the beauty of this questionnaire.
We'll preface this by saying I don't have a lot of least favorite games. I tend to not play games I don't think I'll enjoy. I tend to be the person who brings the games to our game group, so typically I don't find anything I hate. I really don't like Arc Nova. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fair. That's completely.
Don't at her, everyone. Don't at her.
Like it.
I'm sorry.
Don't at Ray. No, that's a fair answer. Like I said, that's the beauty of this questionnaire because you never know what you're gonna say.
Yep.
All right. Next question. What board game makes you feel the most happy?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh, these are so good, Joe. These are so good. Also, sorry I'm turning around the whole time because I'm looking at my collection.
You're fine. Take your time.
Otherwise, I'll draw blanks. Wait, restate the question for me again?
What board game makes you feel the most happy?
Oh, that's so hard. I've got two kind of trains of thought I want to take with this.
No, say them both. You're not restricted to one answer.
One is nostalgia factor. One is just pure makes me feel the most nostalgic, which for me is probably Agricola. As I mentioned, that was one of the earliest like heavy games that my mom and I learned together. So Agricola just makes me feel cozy and warm when I think about it. But I think in terms of actually playing it and it bringing me joy, I would have to say honestly, and Olympians in chat, and I'm so sorry because I know Olympian doesn't like this game, and we'll fight about that on a later date. I learned that about you recently, Thomas, that you don't like this game. It makes me very angry. But Wingspan, I really, really enjoy the Wingspan app in particular, the atmosphere of that game and the way that they created that app. Makes me very cozy, and it's kind of the best of both worlds because I played it once I moved, because I moved away from home for the first time like this year, and I've been playing Wingspan a lot online with my mom and my sister, so it also has that nostalgia factor, and I just love that soundtrack, and I just love the visual presentation, specifically the Wingspan app, I would say in particular.
Okay, that's great 2 answers. All right, what board game makes you feel the most sad?
Oh. How do I answer that, Joe? What makes me the most sad? Ooh, I'm gonna get sappy with this answer. The game that makes me the most sad is Phantom Inc. by Resonim, which is the last game that I was very heavily involved at when I worked at Resonim, and it's a game that I really, really love, and I left the company right as that was like headed to retail. And I didn't get to be a part of the marketing campaign for that game, and it makes me very sad because I just love that game. I got to see it from the beginning to the end, and every time I look at it, it reminds me, it's not that I regret leaving Resonim and moving to CGE. Yeah, I'm gonna make Rennie cry. Rennie has been with me since I started streaming at Resonim. Rennie knows.
Oh.
It's not that I regret it all. It was absolutely the right decision for me. But every time I look at it, it reminds me of like where I started. You know, it reminds me of the people who gave me a shot in the industry, which were the folks at Resonim. I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't been at that company. And I got the opportunity to work on so many cool games. And Phantom Inc. is kind of the culmination of that. I feel like Resonim really hit its design peak with Phantom Inc. I'm very, very proud of that game. And every time I look at it, it just like, it's so hard because I want to bring it out at parties because I love it, but every time I bring it out, I kind of get this like pang of like sadness of like, I don't work there anymore. Oh, sad. So
okay.
I don't know if that's the way you intended that question to go, but
see, here's the beauty of this question. There are no right or wrong answers, so this is fabulous. This is going swimmingly. I love it. All right, so next question: what board game components do you love?
Board game components do I love? Ooh. What board game? I mean, let's see. I love anything that's glass, first of all. Anything that's like glass tactilely makes me very happy. I love the cauldrons from Whirling Witchcraft a lot. And I also love, I actually mentioned this in a YouTube video for CGE. My favorite board game component probably is the hand stamps from Inhuman Conditions. I don't know if people are familiar with that game. It's kind of a Blade Runner style 2-person social deduction game where one person is like not necessarily like a cop, but like a private investigator, like a bounty hunter, almost like a Blade Runner style thing, and they are investigating you to see if you are an AI or not, because the AIs have gone loose and they are now disguise themselves as humans, and you are trying to answer questions as if you're totally human even though you're a robot, and you have linguistic restrictions on how you can talk, and sometimes you're a robot, sometimes you're not, and when the investigator has made their final decision, they take your hand and they stamp it either human or robot, and it's a very tactile, cool reveal of like how you're making your decision. I love it. It's very gimmicky, but it makes me happy.
Okay, that's a great answer. All right, what board game components do you dislike?
What board game components do I dislike? Anything that rolls. Why would you design something that rolls? Why? Why would it ever have a rounded edge ever? Because then it rolls.
Outside of dice, though, right? You're not talking about dice.
Not dice, but like cylinders. Do not
like
make
good
board game components.
Spherical and like
make it a cube.
Components.
Don't try to be special. Don't try to be different. Don't make it a cylinder because it rolls.
That is probably, I was not expecting that answer, and I'm here for it. I absolutely love that. Okay, this next question I think is Jess's favorite question out of the bunch. I can't wait to hear this answer. What board game is so bad that its name should become a curse word?
Oh, see, this is the thing, Joe. I don't play a lot of games that are bad. What game is so bad? Oh, I have a thought, but I can't say it because I'd get fired. I can't say. Everyone can speculate. I'm not gonna say it.
All right, that's you don't have to answer, but if you want to, we are waiting with bated breath.
What game is so bad? Man, I don't know. I really don't. I'm gonna leave that as a mystery. I'm gonna leave that as speculate to your heart's desire, and I will deny it under oath.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Jess, I think that question was perfect. Completely perfect. Okay, next question. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh, great question. I mean, I am trained as a geologist. That was going to be my career before I did board games. So I would really like to see if I would have done well in that career path. I don't know that necessarily like I yearn for geology still, because I'm very, very happy with what I do. Like, if I could have any job on the planet, I'd have my current job. But I think it'd be cool to go and just kind of see what my life would have been if I had gone down the geology map making route, which was what I was initially training for when I got into board games. And if I'm allowed to stay in the board game sphere, but not my current exact job title, I'd love to really go into game design and leave content creation and go into game design at some point. Could be very cool.
Okay, awesome. What profession would you not like to do?
Teaching. I hate children and people. Not people, but I would be the world's worst teacher. Sorry, was that too immediate?
I was saying that you didn't have to think. It was just like boom.
Boom. You had that one ready.
Well, it's because when I was in like middle school and early high school and stuff, I thought I wanted to be a teacher. And then I like shadowed a teacher for a while because my mom was very much about like, all right, make sure you want to do it before you do it. So she was all about like when I would have like winter and summer breaks and stuff, she would be all about the like, go shadow. What is the current job you think you want to have this year? Go shadow that person. And I shadowed like a third grade teacher because I thought I wanted to do, actually stemming from my dyslexia, I had a really great like reading remediation teacher when I was little. And I was like, oh, I want to do that for other people. I want to help other dyslexics or other neurodivergent people learn how to like cope with their learning disabilities. And then I shadowed like a special ed teacher in third grade, and I'm just not good with children. I'm the youngest of 5. I'm great with adults, bad with children. So if I was in some alternate universe where I was forced to like teach small children, oh no, it would be very bad. It would be very bad for everyone involved.
Just the fact that you had that one ready, that you didn't even think about it, was just absolutely amazing. All right, last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Welcome, we have board games.
Short, sweet, and to the point. I love it. And that, everybody, is the James Lipton questionnaire. I hope that's
so
very
good,
interesting.
Yeah.
So good. I love that.
I love how in the chat, Alone Shark and Jamie were just like adding to each other's answers. This was just so great.
I appreciate that chat was also answering the questions. Like, that totally had the effect I wanted it to. I wanted that to be kind of interactive, and it was perfect. So I think we're gonna keep this one.
Yeah,
I love that. That's great. I can't wait to see how people take some of those questions, especially like the board game that makes you sad and stuff. I can't wait to see what people do with those.
Yeah. Again, there's no right or wrong answers. It's just whatever comes to mind. Like it's meant to be off the cuff and spontaneous.
Yeah. So awesome. Well, I don't have anything else to add. Abby or Joe, do you have anything else that you would like to ask our lovely guests before we sign off for the night?
No, I think
so.
I think this is a good place to call it good. But Ray, if you got anything else you want to promote or plug, the floor is yours.
Sure. So, hi. Yeah, thank you for listening to me ramble about stuff. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for inviting me onto this stream. This is such a lovely time. If you want to find out more about me, as I've mentioned, I am a professional Twitch streamer for Czech Games Edition, which is the Codenames people. If you're unfamiliar with that publisher, I stream over there 3 days a week: Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, I'll be teaching my co-content creator, Eleni, how to play That Time You Killed Me by Pandasaurus, which, as I mentioned previously, is currently my favorite go-to abstract game. And if you want the same person, but a very different vibe, you can hang out on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, where we play dating sims. And I drink wine and we swear over there and we smooch some cuties, and I let chat take the reins on everything. I make every decision a chat decision. So it's basically you all playing the dating sim through me and getting my commentary on the side about your choices that you made that I have no control over. It's a blast. That's over at twitch.tv/RaisRetros. And yeah, that's all I got. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, so awesome. And thanks to everybody in the chat that's been hanging out with us. I realized, as I'm going through Board Gaming Twitch, we were the second highest stream for the evening, and that makes my heart smile. So thank you all for spending your evening or early morning with us. I truly, truly appreciate it. But before we all sign off and say our goodnights, Joe and Abby, what do you each have going on Twitch this week?
Abby, I'll let you go first.
So tomorrow I'm crashing Joe's stream as I usually do on Tuesdays and Fridays at 4:30, and we're going to learn how to play Arc Nova. Thursday I will be over on my channel. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Ray. Way to crap on our stream. It's all good.
Oh no.
So Thursday I'll be on my channel playing Cult of the Lamb. Friday back on Joe's channel, and I want everyone to hear the terrible punny name I made up, because we are going to be playing On Tour Walk and Roll, which I thought was hilarious.
That's
and I laughed
so
for
good.
5 minutes afterwards. So we're just going to play some Rollin' Rights over on his channel. And then Sunday at not 2 p.m. noon, we will be playing Don't Starve Together on my channel.
Yep, there you go. So Abby pretty much gave half my schedule, so I'll fill in the blanks. On Wednesday, I will be right back here with Jess and Amanda, and we'll be playing Dice Hospital ER Emergency Roll. That'll be 11 a.m. on Wednesday. And then next Sunday, Jess, I'll let you have it, because this one's not mine to say.
Yeah, so Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, friends, I'm celebrating 500 followers on Twitch, which now is almost 600. So I'm going to do, thank you. I'm doing a 5-hour marathon with the crew that some of you know on Twitch called Maroon 7. So it's myself, it's Joe Phantom Meeple, it's Joe Sondow, it's Marky Mark, it's Panda Angel, it's the Lobby of Hobbies Jazz, and Book of Nerds. We're all going to be collectively together playing some games on stream for 5 hours. It's going to be silly, crazy, fun times. I hope that you all join us on Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. Pacific. But yes, like Joe said, Wednesday we're doing Dice Hospital. Tomorrow I'm going to be on the lovely Panda Angels channel, and we are going to be playing a one-shot scenario of Suspects from Hachette Board Games. It's kind of like a mystery, like a murder mystery kind of whodunit thing. And so her and I will be playing that on her channel. And then Friday, I'm going back to chill crafting time. So I might paint something. I might do some more lanyard string bracelet weaving. But just come hang out with me at 11 a.m. on Friday as I just chill and craft and chat with you all to kind of ease into the weekend. But that's all we've got going on. But, friends, you can always find us on all of our socials. Ray, what is the best social for you, my dear? Because I did not put one in the chat, but what is the best social for you?
Best social for me is Twitter, @_RayBird_ is my Twitter. That's where I talk both about my work over at CG and my personal Raise Retros channel. So if you want to find me, you can follow my Twitter and you'll see both those things pop up.
Beautiful. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Phantom.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
put it in chat. And you know what? I completely missed one. I almost forgot. Thursday on the Panda and Phantom show, 1 p.m. Pacific, Amanda and I are going to be playing Lost Ruins of Arnak with the Expedition Leaders expansion. So that's going to be...
Oh, do you know which leader you're going to be playing?
Oh, I always play the Mystic.
I was gonna say he only plays one.
Nice.
I
I
love
will.
the Mystic to no end. Absolutely adore it.
Oh, fantastic. Are you playing it? How are you playing it? Are you playing it? Are you in the same space for it?
No, we kind of have a great system going on. One of us will have the board, the other will just have like a top down of the player board, and we'll
That's
play that way.
awesome. Oh, so cool. Have a wonderful time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Awesome. So on that note, friends, let's send you all off on a raid train. Who do we have going on Twitch right now that we can send everybody off to?
Let's see. Rock's on doing some Fall Guys. Joe Sondow's on with Ambi doing Baba Is You. Bonds is on doing some board games. I Heart Board Games is on also doing some stuff. Not sure what they're playing. Kestrel's on playing Okami, which is a classic.
Love Okami.
Ooh, all right, let's do that.
so good.
Let's send Kes some love. That's a video game, right?
Yes.
Oh, I can make sure I spell Kestrel's name right, because remember, Ray, when you were saying make sure you spell people's usernames correctly,
It is a great fear of mine.
because you don't want to send everybody astray. So there we go, friends. Send us off to the lovely Kestrel. Give her all the emotes in love, but if you got a raid and run, please make sure you say at least hello before you pop off the stream. But until next time, friends, thank you all for joining us for a delightful evening. Thank you, Ray, as always, for just being totally wonderful. We love you. And please come back. Please come back.
I
if
will.
you're
I will
so-
happily come back anytime you want me. This was a delight. I'm happy to come back.
Awesome.
Awesome. All right. Bye, friends. Enjoy the raid, and we'll see you next time.
Ready?
Bye.